Tony East, Locked On Pacers.
Combo himself.
In person, man.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too. I mean, we've met so much, but virtual is just different than when you do it in person.
It is. Especially with All-Star Weekend here. All the stars are here, including you.
Yeah.
But it is different. I've done like 100 of these conversations with people all weekend of Indy's the home of the NBA. It's the weirdest thing.
How has it been for you, everyone descending on Indianapolis?
It's been cool for everybody to see it. Like, it's a good city for hosting, and that's what everybody said. But also, everybody's just whining about the snow and the weather and not everyone to come back. So it's been kind of weird hearing both those things because it's always like this here in February. But it's been fun. It's been cool to, they had all this infrastructure built for the Super Bowl when it was here, like 13, 14 years ago, and all that's been being reused and repackaged for the stuff. So it's been pretty sweet.
Have you been doing a lot of like interviews with players, and how's that been going? What have been like your biggest takeaways? Some players keep it PC, but then some players will, have their viral moments. Anything like that really you've taken away from your interview so far?
My favorite one was, I didn't even plan this one, was Vince Carter.
That's cool.
He got into the Hall of Fame this weekend, or it's a finalist, not in, but I didn't even plan to talk to him, but he was there and doing stuff, and I wanted to know if he remembered. He had a double clutch reverse dunk against the Pacers in the 90s. And I want to know if he remembered it. And the exact quarter, who was under the rim, who was defending him, who was sliding over into the basket, so he had to clutch. Like, he remembered the play perfectly, and it was a fun day for him to be in the Hall of Fame, not only because you might be in the Hall of Fame, but earlier in the day, everybody's talking about their dream dunk contest, and every young player is picking Vince Carter, right? So he had a really cool day. He got to be honored, and literally all these young players are gassing him up, and he remembered everything from that play. I'm going to have to write about it. It was awesome. That was very impromptu, though. I got to talk to Obi Toppin yesterday one-on-one for a while at a deli. You're a New Yorker. You can appreciate Obi Toppin.
But there's not a lot of delis out here.
No,
it
was a pop-up.
I was walking through Indianapolis, and there's no bodegas. We call them bodegas in New York. And there's no delis, but there's a bunch of sushi spots.
A bunch of sushi
spots.
I don't even like sushi.
What's the sushi Indianapolis connection? What is that?
The sea, the seafood's got to be right here, obviously, in the middle of the Midwest. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. But Obi was very excited. He said it was actually pretty good. He called up the owner. He said he's going to go, and he gets back up there. So, yeah, those are two fun guys to talk to. But Vince, I mean, a legend, like, so many iconic basketball moments.
Yeah.
I didn't even plan to talk to him. It was sweet.
You mentioned the dunk contest. All-Star Saturday was yesterday. I was in the building. It was interesting. I mean, the biggest takeaway for me, the funnest part for me, was Steph Curry versus Sabrina. And I felt like no matter what Sabrina did, Steph Curry would just rise to the occasion because it was somewhat of a slow start for him. But then that guy's just different. Like, you saw the whole three-point contest beforehand, and then when you watch him go, it's like, this dude is really different. And that's after you see, like, Dame and all these great shooters shoot. And Sabrina's obviously a great shooter. He just rose to the occasion.
Dude, it looks so easy, too. Like, his form's just perfect for that kind of event. And, like, he started slow. I thought he was going to win because she did really well.
She did really well. And she did the NBA line.
I think she would have beat everybody in I can't remember what Dame's last score was, but I think she would have beat everybody in the first contest. And then he's just like, oh, no, this is nothing for me.
So let me ask you this. You think if she went from the women's line, she would have won?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's what she's usually. But the thing is, she just played FIBA for Team USA, and that line is, I think, a little different than the W line.
It is.
So she's ready for the deeper line, right? So I'm glad she did that because, like, now there's nothing anybody can say. You know what I mean? Like, she matched him up and did very well, like, as respectable as it could be. My theory of the whole time was whoever went second was going to win. Like, when you know the number, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped him because he turned up.
Right.
Like, he's a guy who rises to the occasion, so it definitely helped him. But I just wanted to. I wonder if she would have shot for the women's line, if it would have been a different story. And I think, like, it would have been good for both of them if Sabrina won. Like, that, it's not gonna hurt Steph if he loses to Sabrina.
No, neither of them are taking a legacy hit if they lose that one, right? I think they were. I went down to talk to him after the event down below. It sounds like they want to expand it to, like, have a partner in it and have it be like a 4-man show. I would assume that they didn't say this, but I would assume Steph's partner would be Clay. But I don't know who Sabrina would bring, Caitlin or a different pro or something. But that's, I think, what the next evolution they want is.
Yeah.
Get the next shooters in there.
Even the skills challenge was fun for me because Tyrese was drafted pandemic year, right? Like, he didn't play in summer league.
Yeah.
So I realized, I like Tyrese's game since Iowa State. Yeah. And then I didn't get to see him play in Summer League because I'm at Summer League every year. I'm like, this is the first time I'm seeing Tyrese in person. And just from the skills challenge, his game just, like, flows differently. Like the way he handles, the way he passes, the way it shoots. I know that's not a real game, but just the way, like flow is the word I thought of when I watched him get up and down the court.
He like cared about the skills
he did
challenge
care. He
too,
did care.
which was pretty funny. Yeah, you're right, and like it's made for him. Like his whole game is, he's better at almost everything than a lot of people. I'd say Steph's the only guy who can match his like playmaking and shooting right now in the league.
Yeah.
He's not the best passer. He's not the best.
Trey's
shooter.
efficiency's not good enough to do it.
Right.
And James is not the same James, but he's been great. Actually, I think
James has been shooting more this year, so maybe. Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
He's an underrated passer, great passer. I actually thought he should have been an all-star. Him and Sabonis.
Yeah, I have trouble with all-star when you like get traded and you're in two conferences during the season, even though he got traded so early. I thought Sabonis should have been one. We can get to that
That's
later.
a big snub.
It's that cat for me. But we'll get there if we get there.
Yeah.
He clearly cared, and like it was funny like watching him in the passing one because he's a good passer. Like it's made for him. Like no one's psyched about passing. He's like, yes, I get to pass in the skills challenge, right? So I was talking to him before when he was like practicing the relay round, with the map, and he was actually practicing the self pass off the backboard. I was like, Ty, you're not dunking. He's like, if we have a big enough lead, I'm gonna dunk it, and they smoked him, so he got to dunk it. So like he was planning out his every move. He was ready.
Yeah, the dunk contest, man. I mean, was it that bad though?
Yes.
I think Mac actually jumps higher now, even though I think last year was a surprise, but his head was on the rim.
Yeah, he's crazy. I mean, he should do it every year, until he loses, I think. But when people were booing because the Jaylen Brown scores were just
he dunked it and then. I was like, what is going on?
There's a great camera view from the crowd of the Jaylen Brown. He jumped over that streamer, and he just completely whiffed the first one. The ball went flying. And from the crowd, because there's heads below where the guy's sitting in the chair, you can't see him. So it looks like Jaylen Brown just jumps over nothing and then loses the ball. He had a lot of dunks that would have looked stupid if it wasn't the dunk contest. But Mac McClung did well. He was interesting. He's going to be good every year.
You didn't think the brother duo was interesting?
I talked to Obi about it before. I thought Jacob should have been in the finals, didn't you?
Yeah. He had some good stuff. He had the cool shirt on with his brother. I thought the whole thing was dope. A lot of Knicks fans listen to my podcast, so what I wanted to hear from you is what have you thought about Obi's development over the course of this year?
The big thing that the Pacers always talk about, I asked Rick Carlisle a bunch of questions about this, is you've watched him forever. For something about Obi Toppin's combo of athleticism and being so lanky, dude.
Yeah.
He can't slow down very well when he's running full speed. So that's why they thought he was not a great shooter, is because he would be leaning or off balance when he shoots because he's moving too fast. So they worked so hard about stopping in his jumper or just in general that kind of control when on the move. And so a lot of the stuff you guys in New York know about Obi is the same, right? He's still a freak in transition. He went for the East Bay in New York and whiffed it in the game, but he still tries to do all that kind of stuff, right? That Obi will never go away. But he's shooting threes pretty well this year, and that has really transformed what they're able to do with him as a player. And that's a lot of Rick working with him and being okay, really settle down and make sure you're totally set on these threes because you can hit them, dude. If you're relaxed, you can hit them, and he has. And that's made him so much more valuable than just some dude who can run in transition for them and come off the bench. He started for a lot of the season, and with Pascal here, he won't anymore. But he's been valuable to them, and I think that's been the biggest part of it. And they've been really harping on rebounding with him too because they're a terrible rebounding team, and he can get up and get them. So those two things have really stood out about where he's kind of fit in ways I didn't expect because, when you have athleticism like that, it's going to be everywhere. No matter where you play, that's going to stand out and shine. So to add other little things, I actually wasn't that high on that trade when they did it.
Really?
Now I get it more because if they believed in him as a shooter at all or a rebounder, it makes a lot more sense. But at first, they didn't need another yucky defender on their team. They can't stop you and I. They can, but they're
that's so. You mentioned his athleticism, and that's interesting because there's different facets of athleticism, but he gets off the air, he gets in the air so well, jumps so high. But then when you look at the lateral movement, I remember covering him in the draft. It wasn't great.
No. It's still not right, and that's what
tight hips maybe.
That's what holds him so much on defense.
Yeah.
He's really upright all the time. And I think the hips are a big part of that, right? So if someone can. Like a TJ McConnell guy who's got this low center of gravity, is fast. They're just getting right, and they're on the same team obviously, but they're just getting right by him every time. So being a better rebounder and shooter, they can play him at the 5 some, and then he's guarded the 5, right? So that's a lot easier too. And they've just figured out a role that makes sense for him. I don't know what with Jarris and Pascal long term how they feel about him, but right now, fitting in well and looking better than he did before. And that's what he even like when he guarded. He was their matchup choice for Wembanyama earlier this season. He did a really good job.
Really?
Like, he's had
Why do you think versus Wemby he was okay?
Because Wemby's so tall, he can't get low and like get side to side very well yet. You know, I mean, maybe recently you've seen Wemby.
I saw him get low before, bro. But
I set alarms to watch the Spurs, dude. He's like, it's unbelievable. But early in the season, and it was the Spurs' first back-to-back.
Yeah, and probably Sohan was playing point guard and all that stuff.
They were like a joke back then. He actually did a really good job on him, and that was like impressive to me. He's had a few. It's not often, but he's a few games like that. We're like, oh, Obi's kind of defending, but yeah, I think the shooting in particular is the biggest thing. We're like, oh, okay, this is, and then even if he goes to another team, that's gonna matter.
Yeah. Speaking of trades, I felt like the Pacers didn't get enough for Buddy Hield.
Yeah, well, I just thought that was strange because you trade 3 firsts to get Pascal. Like, you're trying to be better right now, and then 3 weeks later, you're trading away Buddy Hield. So it's been reported by a couple people now, like, he kind of wanted to be traded. I think financially it makes sense for him to be somewhere that, you know, they're going to need his bird rights to pay him next year in Philly, and his role is going to be way bigger there than it was with the Pacers.
100%.
Like, the weird thing that, and I get why people didn't notice this because it was only one game, but the only time post the Siakam trade the Pacers were fully healthy as a team was 2 games before the trade deadline, and Buddy Hield played 11 minutes. Right, and like that's what his role was going to be with these guys, and so if he also like welcomed a change of scenery, it kind of made sense for him to explore. Even though I still think they should have tried to ride it out with him if they could have, because people are afraid of him, right? Like off the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gravity. I mean, the Sixers really needed just the volume of shots and the efficiency on top of that. Like the Sixers just don't get enough threes up.
So have you watched him since the trade? He's killing it.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's a really good player, and a lot of it's situation for him. You know, like a different situation could change everything. When you have a player that just fills a gap in that way, and that's what you need, like sometimes it just really pops.
Yeah, and so I wonder if knowing all that about the trade and it happening,
and also the Pacers have enough shooting in a way, you know.
But Pascal's their worst shooter that plays.
Yeah, but he brings so much, and I know the record's only been 8-10 in the last 18 games, right? But he fills a lot of gaps at the same time, and him and Halliburton minutes have been good.
I'm sure we'll talk to him. Oh my God, they're like destroying everybody. Their bench has been so bad since the trade for some reason. But with Buddy, so I wonder with all that stuff, like if their goal is let's just get the best draft pick we can and call it a day because. And maybe
because they thought he might leave, right?
Yeah, maybe so, right? Like they couldn't get the extension done last summer, so if they realized they could get that good pick and hopefully get McDermott, who can, I guess, be at shooter. He's different, you know. We all know that, but he can still make threes. He had 3 in their last game. Like maybe that's all how it came together for them. But yeah, it's tough to lose a guy like that, and he was so funny to talk to, man. I'll miss talking to Buddy Hield every day. He's a funny guy. He
was one of the big trade guys. So the big trade guys were Bogdanovich, OG, and Buddy. Like they were in every trade scenario, and then they're all gone. And then the only one that actually like the Raptors got a lot for OG, but when it comes to Bogey and Buddy, they didn't get as much as you would think because you always heard those guys in like Laker conversations, and it was always like 2 first rounds or 3 first rounds.
With Shafino in a first or whatever.
Yeah. And then now we see this. I guess the market's always changing.
I'm sure you like the Knicks getting, a lot of stuff for not giving up very much to do it.
Yeah, people miss quickly.
Oh, yeah.
People miss quickly. But with the RJ thing, like...
And they need another guy to handle now.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, RJ is a pretty good player. Just OG fits the NBA and the Knicks so much better than RJ, you know? Yeah.
It's so funny to me that he, like, fits so well in New York. Because nothing about... Like, I knew him at IU a little bit. And nothing about OG screamed New Yorker to me, but he's perfect for that place. He's been great, and quickly is just obviously it hurts to lose him, but he wasn't gonna play enough, and like he couldn't be quickly there. So I think if you can get Bojan and Burks for that price, and like they look awesome, healthy, they make conference finals.
Healthy. It's a huge concern.
It is.
They got a lot of injuries,
especially with Tibbs and the minutes he does, which is fine. You're gonna win games doing that, but. It's risky. You can run into this kind of stuff. But, yeah, Buddy, biggest name traded maybe on deadline day. I don't know what you think, but maybe so.
Yeah. It wasn't a big day.
No.
Yeah.
Murray didn't move. The other Atlanta
Pascal was the best player that got traded in the whole season.
Well, Harden, but that was so early that
true.
that felt like an offseason trade to everybody.
And they were like, the media wasn't treating Harden like he was a top 30 guy.
Not at all.
Yeah,
that was weird.
I thought the Heat should have got him.
If they could have got him for that,
they would be dangerous.
I know.
They would be dangerous.
I'm surprised because they were so in on Dame and like Giroux that.
Dame was another one that would have been great.
Harden's been better than Dame this year too.
Yes,
which is crazy.
Yes.
But yeah.
Even though Dame's starting in the All-Star game, but Harden can't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't even sniff it. The West is crazy though. I mean. Like Fox didn't even have a chance hardly with the cards out in the West. But.
Yeah. We saw Dame time yesterday though. He came up big.
And now he gets to do it in Oakland next year, which is sick for him personally. To repeat there, but yeah, that he would have been really good with James Harden on that team. I mean, their ball handling was so bad they needed Terry Rozier like bad, right?
Yeah.
Like they weren't getting enough from their guards, and Hero's best role is off the bench to me with them, and so
yes,
they need
100%.
Need a guy who can be a setup guy for that starting five. Harden would have been a good fit there. I don't know why they didn't pursue that more.
Yeah, they should. I was saying it back then. I thought they made a big mistake. Speaking of, we talked about Pascal a little bit, but what did you expect when he came on the team, and what have you seen so far?
Yeah, I thought right away the biggest help would be Ty didn't have to do everything, right? Like so many games, and he can do it. You know, we've seen it, but like so many games, it's just like he is the setup guy. Every possession, he needs to be looking for a shot down the stretch. Yeah. Like if he plays 36 minutes, he's gonna touch the ball. Like every possession he's in the game. Like that's a lot. And so there was that stretch in late December. I don't know how much you were watching the Pacers then, where teams were trapping him so aggressively, and it was the first time he had seen it like that. And he figured it out after a while. That's what he is good at. Like he figures that stuff out. But they needed that valve guy. Like if Ty throws it out and it's 4-on-3, Pascal's gonna bust it and find a good shot every time. So that's where I thought he'd be the best fit. But this is kind of weird to explain. But the Pacers are such a 3-and-rim team. You know,
yes, but Pascal seemed like he filled that gap.
Everything else, right?
Yes.
And he's so good at them that it's a good shot for him to shoot from the elbow or any mid-range shot, honestly. Right. But so just like if you're a team that's just so locked in on, you can't just drop to get to the rim easier. You can't just be flying out to shooters all the time because there's this guy who can catch it from 15 feet, do 2 dribbles, turn, shoot over you, and it's like a very efficient shot. And I don't know what the right word for it is because that breakup of styles almost seems like it shouldn't help, but it does, right? It makes it just harder for a team.
Also, in the playoffs, I mean,
that's
late game situation, shot clock's going down. You can't just always play rip and run basketball. Yeah.
Ty can. I think Ty can, but they'll load up on him.
I mean, but when the score is like 99 to 101, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be flying up and down the court and just playing like free flowing basketball. Yeah. Like you need a guy like Pascal who's going to like take 2 hard dribbles, spin, and get his own bucket.
And that was an interesting part about it is like if you doing that kind of trade for Pascal, something you do after you have a playoffs and realize you need a player like that. Like it's really interesting they identified it as something they needed now, or they haven't played in the postseason yet and Pascal hasn't been that awesome in the playoffs throughout his career. We'll see where the title year he was.
Yeah, I mean with Ty that might change.
I agree when he's not expected to hit the big shots later or something like that. But yeah, that's a good point in the postseason that will be even more valuable. And I just in my head Tyrese is taking any final shot or doing a setup. But if you have another guy who can or someone else who's got a matchup. I mean, that always makes sense. Yeah,
if you think about it, like all the league's best players, people talk about the mid-range being dead, and it's only dead from a standpoint that we don't catch and shoot mid-range anymore. But
the assisted mid-rangers are dead.
Exactly, but like in the playoffs, you need a guy to get in the mid-range and get a bucket. Actually, Hallie's been better at that than people thought he would be coming out of college, right?
It's funny because he had this shot last year he went to all the time, where it was like this hook shot. And it never went right? It was such a weird 8-footer. And then this year he's turned them into floaters or just stop and pop, put it up.
Yeah.
And those are way better, right? Those are going in. So, and I think he needed it because everybody knows, like I was saying with the Pacers, if he's not taking a 3, just defend the rim and you'll contest it. So all he's got to do is have that counter in between, and all of a sudden the defense has to think. So. I keep doing it anyone's gonna know what I'm talking about, but he would it was almost like he would be running this way and shoot it like this.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a sky hook. It was
a lot of players that can't get into their jump shot will go to the hook or the floater.
But and that's such a good counter for the 3. It made Karis LeVert way better when he was a young player. I'll never forget that because I loved him coming out of Michigan. And so Ty needed a floater, and that's been a big part of that. And I think that'll be huge late game in playoffs too if he can go to it. But floaters are scary.
I think the missing piece to Scotty Barnes' game is actually like that mid range. If he gets that off the dribble mid range, it's gonna be it's gonna be curtains.
He's so herky jerky, dude.
Like, he is tough.
He can just all of a sudden pull up in your face.
He got the hard stuff down, like all the athleticism, the size, and the feel for the game, and the passing, and
he can control a lot of weird stuff, which is a compliment, even though that sounds mean.
yeah, definitely.
Like he does just a lot of what's he doing, but it's so in control and weird, and defenders don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, how has it been for you seeing Rick Carlisle embrace the modern style of basketball?
He had to change a lot, right? Because he got here, and their starting five was Brogdon, LeVert, T.J. Warren, Sabonis, and Turner, right? And so, first of all, that's not a modern team. They don't have that much shooting, but that's also like they're trying to win with that team, right? And they needed a better coach to help them win. They got Rick. Rick's won a title. Rick's trying to win every year with Dallas, except for Luka's rookie year, right? Like he's trying to win. And then they had a game on TNT that year, and the Pacers were bad with that crew to start the year. And Rick Carlisle apparently told TNT that day, like, yeah, I didn't sign up for a rebuild, and then they did. They rebuilt. And so I think him evolving with the game has been...
Did it feel like a hard rebuild, though?
Trading Sabonis for Tyrese was... It became not a rebuild fast because he was so good right away.
Fast, yeah.
But, that feels like a nose... But they were bad that year already. That's why I think the perception was kind of strange. But for him evolving and changing, some of it was that they had to, right? You can't play two bigs. You just can't. But some of it was that he had to recalibrate, like, okay, I'm a rebuilding coach now, right? Like, what do I have to think about differently? How do I strategize our stuff? And you know what? I'm going to use a football analogy. You know what actually has really made it click is, Bill Belichick always would talk about, like, seeing the game through Tom Brady, right? And that's how he evolved as a football coach and run the Patriots offense. I think Rick has done this with all his stars, Dirk, Luka, J. Kidd, seeing the game through their eyes and then playing a style that makes sense like that. I think that happened with Ty.
What happened with Luka?
Well, yeah, but like he made Luka better, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if.
And even back then, he was like, there's not a lot of value in Porzingis post ups.
right. Yeah, he was all over that, and like that was like 2018 or something, right? Like, and he was right. KP right now is killing it without
pick and pop.
Yeah, he's not posting up at all. Actually, the Celtics last game they played before the break, he had like 3 post ups in the first quarter. They were just dumping it into him. I forget who they were playing, but. So I think he realized, like, okay, this Halliburton, his vision's unbelievable. He's so good in transition. He's so good in the open floor. No one can run with us. That's what we'll become. We'll become that kind of team, and he figured out how they could be that and what they needed to be to play that well. And that's how he evolved, is they had to rebuild. He didn't expect it, and so he had to figure out how to adapt and change the team to fit that guy. And it's worked great, but... Now they need another guy to help, and that's what Pascal can hopefully be.
Yeah, before the season when Dame came into the Bucks, I just thought that they were going to win the East because I believe in Dame and Giannis as playoff performers more than anybody else. Do you feel like they'll get it together at some point?
I mean, I thought that a lot. Like they were 16-5 or something, right? And I had watched them probably 5-6 times at that point. Never was impressed, not a single time, even though they'd win. Like they had a game against the Mavs. I was like, okay, that looked good, but. They would always like win by 3 or like some random guy would have a nice game or a terrible game for the other team. It was just strange. Like they never felt that good. And then they finally got a little threatening and then they fired their coach. And so now it's like a whole new thing and I get why they did it. But something's been off with that team and like Portis and Connaughton haven't been as good as they need them to be for sure. But that's like not the headliner to me. Dame hasn't been as efficient. His 3 is at 34.5 or something this year. And I think he's learning to play off of somebody else. He's never had to do that ever. But I want to say I think they'll click for the same reasons you do. Like, those guys in the playoffs are fantastic. We've seen it with Giannis winning the championship already. But that team's old, and they haven't clicked at all. So I'm almost, like, running out of time for that belief.
Yeah, and the defense hasn't been great.
But how? I don't get that. Like, I get that they lost Drew, but... You shouldn't be going from...
They changed the scheme up originally.
Yeah, and then they went back to dropping more, but even then they haven't been better, right? Like, that's
an adjustment, just getting back to what you were doing before.
So, I was at Vegas for the in-season tournament, right? And, like, 3 times when the Pacers played the Bucks would score. And then the Pacers would just throw it in, turn and look up. Isaiah Jackson's wide open after a make in transition.
Yeah.
Like, they're lost in transition defense. It doesn't make any sense. They're a veteran team. You know, if they were young, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But how do you lose like that? It's just like they're not paying attention, if that makes any sense. Like, I know Drew's an amazing defender, but I wouldn't think that losing him would just make everybody a disaster.
I don't think that's the only reason.
It's not. It can't be.
Yeah. Just because he left doesn't mean that's the reason why their defense is terrible. You know,
Going from second to what are they, 22nd or something crazy? It's nuts.
Has it improved a little bit since Doc?
Their first game they played Denver, right? And I think they lost.
Well, they did beat Denver recently.
They needed that because they have some terrible losses in this stretch. Like that Heat game they played, no Jimmy at home, and they got just throttled. Oh man, that was awful. But they only gave up like 113 to the Nuggets. They lost by 4, I think, 5. And Doc was like, "Yeah, it was an offensive loss. We'll figure that out."
Yeah.
But they haven't. I think they're 4-6 since they hired him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like at some point, it's a new coach. Like I'll give him time, but at some point, it's like if the new coach can't fix it either, it's a players thing. So either they gotta step up or figure out some schematic thing because I thought they'd be better too, but they're like creaky. You know, they're old. They need like an athletic dude. I don't care who it is, just some guy who can have some bounce and run.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is, and they obviously can't trade.
I mean, yeah, and that's usually not in the buyout market.
No, never.
You know, usually you got like a vet.
Another creaky guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and Giannis is bouncy kind of, but not like in the, you know what I mean? There's a difference between his athleticism and what they need. But yeah, I don't view them that threatening anymore. I still think they'll probably win in the first round, but I'd probably pick Knicks, Cavs, and Sixers and Celtics over them in the second round right now.
I mean, I think most people would have the Celtics winning it all in general.
Yeah. Like 4 games better than everybody right now. It's
yeah, but Cavs are actually hotter recently.
Didn't they win like 17 of 18? I think I'm picking Jokic over everybody in the playoffs after last year.
100%.
Even the Celtics, but
100%.
That Celtics series would be hard to pick. I mean, dude,
I mean, if Jokic plays like he did in the playoffs and the finals, no other team's winning.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can have one good game, I think, against the Nuggets, but then Jokic figures it out, and then you're toast because now you're trying to figure him out. And you're on the back foot. It's over, right? Like that's what made the Suns winning 2 games was actually very impressive to me. Like that.
I never believed in them. Like from the beginning, I don't know. I feel like if you keep those 3 together, maybe next year you have a chance. But I just don't think you could throw those 3 guys together without like enough depth. And the depth got better actually after the trade deadline. But I just felt like there was a redundancy in skill set, and they would really have to figure it out.
So I think the 2 teams with the best chance to beat Jokic would be them and Dallas.
I see what you're saying.
Because
I see what you're saying.
That they could just like have offensive nights. You know what I mean? Like no one could stop.
Like the Kings won't beat Denver because they're going to try and beat Denver by being like Denver.
Yeah. But the perimeter guys of Phoenix and like, I mean, it's hard to pick against Luka, even though he hasn't won anything. It's just he's so good. Like I think those 2 teams would be the toughest 2 for them in a playoff setting, more so than Boston, even though Boston's the best team by a good amount right now. I mean, they're just throttling everybody.
Yeah, Boston is. I don't know.
Miles said last night he thinks Boston's the best team.
Yeah,
they played this year. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. He played against Denver
twice.
Yeah.
He's previously said on I forget what it was that the Jokic, the Schambor shuffle is the hardest shot to defend in the league.
Of course.
And I mean everybody's gonna say that. So like to have that respect for Jokic and then say no, the Celtics were the hardest team. They beat Celtics twice, right?
Yeah.
I think players think the Celtics are the best team, but I'm not picking against Jokic until he loses because no one stopped. That starting 5 is perfect for him. Like he's just gonna tear everybody up.
Yeah, who do you believe in more, like to make a deep playoff push, the Lakers or the Warriors?
Can I pick if they're gonna make it? Like they're gonna play in the first playing game, right? Like it's crazy.
That's gonna be high level. I want to see OKC play against one of those teams. That's what I want to see.
That'd be a perfect.
I want to see SGA take one of those teams out because that's what SGA becomes a household name.
That's true. Or Ant, either one, honestly.
True, but Ant's even more household than SGA right now. You know.
He had USA and
and
he was all right in the playoffs last year. SGA was great for Canada, but it's different. USA, you know.
100%.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for them too because everybody could be like, everybody's gonna talk about if it's OKC versus either of those teams is experience. It matters, and I don't know. I believe more in the Warriors than the Lakers because one, they have the track record, obviously, but now that Kuminga has been, holy smokes, he's been good for the last.
But they tried to trade him for LeBron, right?
I mean, he probably would have had to be in there.
100%,
right?
100%.
I actually am looking.
Would you do that if you were the Warriors?
Trade for LeBron or trade Kuminga for LeBron? You mean?
Kuminga in a package, for LeBron. I would.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
I would.
That's funny to imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I picked the Warriors. I think. I mean, again, Kuminga better. Wiggins is playing okay. Now
Yes.
again.
Yes.
And not good, but okay, which is enough for them.
And Clay came off the bench and dropped over 30.
I wonder, what do you think they'll do now? You think they'll keep him there?
The thing is, though, like, what would be his trade value? Did they have a choice? You know, it's always interesting.
Pods is so good.
It's always interesting. Like, this happened with D'Lo, and this happened with Randall before, too, where it's like, when they're playing bad, everybody wants to trade them, but that's when you could get the least.
Right.
Like, you kind of, don't you want to trade them when they're on trending upwards?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Buddy for the Pacers this year was shooting 38% from three, which is still good.
Yeah.
But like not.
But for him. It's
not good.
Great.
Not good for him, right? So all these fans like, you gotta trade this guy. He's playing like crap. I'm like, who wants him? If you're saying he's this bad, why would somebody want him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously still valuable. So yeah, I don't think they can trade Clay, but Pods has been so good, like starting for them, and
You think he got star potential?
he's good, man. He's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, he's good.
His career path makes no sense. He was not good at Illinois, and then just all of a sudden is like this awesome player at Santa Clara, and should have been a lottery pick. All of a sudden, like, who is this kid? But he's great.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they got some interesting young guys, and everybody's in the right role. Maybe it'll click. I think they need Looney to be better though too. To like,
I don't know if that's happening.
and I don't think it will. But
Yeah, I think there's probably a better chance of like Wiggins and Clay heating up.
but no, even if they do to win a series, if they have to go Draymond at the 5 all the time,
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah.
They're older.
Yeah, let's finish with the Pacers. What were your expectations going into the season? Have they changed now? They got Pascal now. And, like, what would you consider a successful season here on out?
I thought they'd be like a 500 team, and then maybe squeak in playing. They all wanted to make the playoffs before the year, so I think it makes sense that they ended up being buyers. But they're definitely better than I thought, right? But they're weird. I don't know how you feel about this. Like, since you used to play, they beaten Boston twice, beaten Milwaukee 4 times, beaten Cleveland twice, beaten Philly twice, beaten the Knicks twice. Their top end is like, oh man, this team could beat anybody. And then they've lost the Wizards. They lost the Hornets twice. They lost the Blazers twice. Right? Like, that's what makes it so hard to pin them down. Is at their best, they're clearly better than their record, but they can't beat these crappy teams. Even at home, they lost to Charlotte and Portland. So it's hard for me to exactly pin down what they are, because record-wise, they're better than I thought they'd be. They're going to be an over 500 team, but I don't know what I think they can do.
I think when you play fast and you shoot a lot of threes and you play into the analytics, there's more variance.
There is.
Yeah.
But you still gotta be beaten. You know what I mean? There's got to be like an adult factor to it. You know what I mean? Like they're a young group still. But.
Well, I think Pascal was that guy to come in and be that. He's not really that analytic type player. He's like more of that traditional star, really, in a lot of ways.
That is true. It's almost like the Hornets are good. They lost the Hornets like last week.
I know.
The Hornets good now. It's so weird, but they're like.
Let me tell you, no, they're not good.
3 in a row, bro. You're not of assignment.
But you don't like. It's part of the reason why we were seeing 70-point games. It's just a lull before
the break.
And they'll win some more games probably when the playoffs are about to roll around. When people start.
That's true.
Yeah.
But so for the Pacers, like I think now they're trying to get 6th, or maybe even higher with Embiid out for so long. They can do it. They're good enough. Their schedule's really easy in the rest of the season, but they haven't earned the right for me to say that because they lose to bad teams, right? So it's hard to say like, oh, their schedule's easy. They could lose to anybody with that. Yeah, it is high variance for sure. So I think they're better than I thought. They're a little ahead of schedule. They were already better when they got Pascal, but it's hard to pin down exactly what I think they can do in the playoffs, because if they can, whoever they play, if they're 6th, whoever is in the top 5, they'll beat them multiple times.
Yeah.
The season, but I still wouldn't pick them to beat anybody in a playoff series because they haven't been there yet. And over half their rotation, right? Halliburton, Jalen Smith. I should be quicker with these answers. Nembhard, Mathurin, Neesmith. They're all in their first 4 years in the league, right?
Yeah.
Like even if they have some experience, they haven't all together for that long and haven't been in the league that long to like be ready for that battle together. I think they'll do well, but I don't think they can win it.
You think Rick needs to narrow down the rotation going into the playoffs? I mean, everybody narrows it down in the playoffs, but just like, I got my core 7, core 8 guys.
It's hard to figure out who they'd cut out because, like, the last time they were in the playoffs, it was T.J. McConnell. But then they're like...
Nah, they need him.
They do.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
They need him to play, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, right? And the other guy would be Obi, who also is in the first 4 years that I just talked about. He's been in the playoffs with the Knicks, but...
Yeah, if I'm picking between TJ and Obi,
right? Yeah.
And I like Obi, but
And then it's just Pascal, Neesmith, and there's your whoever else.
He's been good. He's been good.
It's been great this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not getting most improved, but I actually know why he's not. But so I think they're gonna be 6th, 7th, or 8th, and I think the whole story for them in the second half will be can they stay in 6, or even maybe get to 5 and catch Philly. But I don't think they can.
So is the highlight of the season the mid-season run?
That's it. Like high variance Pacers, man. Like
Yeah.
they could beat anybody.
They would be good in a March Madness style, which the in-season tournament kind of was. Yeah.
Did you like the in-season?
Yeah,
It was
man.
awesome.
It was like I thought it was a good idea, and then when it went all the way through, I thought it was a great idea.
My only thing was it's only going to be a bad idea if the players don't care, and they cared.
I mean, $1 million is
It's cash.
a
Cash
great,
is cash.
a great incentive.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see Halliburton in a series style because he's kind of like Jokic, where once he like sees what a defense is doing and can adjust and feel it out. Like
He'll be good. He'll be good.
He'll be good. Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I want to know what that looks like, and they'll know what they need and how they need to adjust their team. Like
They need Buddy Hield. No, I'm joking.
they might for real. But even if they lose, like as long as they don't get swept and get embarrassed, like they're gonna learn a lot about themselves, which I think is valuable. It's so dumb to say that, right? Losing will be fine.
Yeah.
But they're so young and that they need that.
And what do you think they need to look to do in the offseason, no matter what happens this year?
Yeah, they need their 2 spot figured out, right?
Yeah.
Do they think it's Ben Matherin? Can he
I
start
like,
there?
yeah. How has his development been for you?
His scoring's down a bit,
Yeah.
like per minute, but he's better at everything else,
Yeah.
which is kind of what they wanted him to be this year, right? They need him to be like a team dude, right?
Right.
Pass more, better on the glass, defend better, and he's more accurate from 3, which really matters.
Still star potential?
It's weird because like the list of dudes who had as good of a free throw rate as him last year as a rookie is like all star players, all of them. It's so rare that rookies.
And
can
you
get
think he
one.
can still get to that level?
But he hasn't this year.
Oh.
So that's what I said going into this year. Is like
Yeah.
if he gets better at passing and shooting and can still get to the line that well, yeah, he's gonna be a star. But that hasn't happened, right? So I think he's trying to figure out how he can be Ben Matherin, this just like tough ass, score at the rim, get to the line kind of dude, and still be a winning player for the Pacers, which does not require him having the ball that much because they have Tyrese Halliburton on their team, right?
Yeah.
So that's their next and maybe last. I mean, Neesmith's awesome for them.
It's kind of like the LeBron thing. You need certain type of players around Tyrese, right?
You do.
Yeah.
And so if they think Ben can be that guy, then great. They got their 5 and they need bench depth. But if not, they need to figure out the 2 spot.
Yeah.
And then it's Ty, Aaron, Pascal, Miles, and whoever that is. And then Matherin's just your super 6 man for the rest of the year.
Sounds good. Tony, where can we find you? Social media. Thanks for taking the time in person.
Everyone.
You know, it's
Yes.
different when you take the time on a Zoom
internet.
call, but you did it in person today, so I really
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yeah, this is in where I live, so this was nice. Tony R. East on Twitter. I'll never call it the new thing. I'm always going to say Twitter. That's where I post everything there. Even I just do it for a bunch of places and chasing down everybody at All Star. So hopefully I have some fun stuff up for people there.
You even chased me down, man.
I did chase you down.
Good to see
You're coming tonight, right?
I should be there. I mean, I was there last night, and I think I should be there tonight.
Good,
yeah,
good,
yeah, yeah.
good.
Yeah. Talk soon, man.
You got it.